Hi, everyone. It's Tracy from the Fairborn branch of the Greene County Public Library. I'm here today to talk to you about one of the databases we have on our website. It's called HeritageQuest. You guys may have seen it scrolling through some of our resources, and today we're going to learn a little bit about how to use it. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started, shall we? So I'm just going to share my screen with you. All right, so we'll start with the PDF. Now, I know it looks like a huge PDF and it's a lot to print, but I swear it's mostly screenshots. So that'll help get through things a little bit faster. Also, to use this database at home, you will need your Greene County Public Library card. So make sure you have that handy, and let's go ahead and get started. So first thing is, HeritageQuest is an ancestry product, which means it looks very similar and you use it in a lot of the ways that you would Ancestry, either the library edition or your own private edition. There's a couple main differences. Ancestry, it's either a paid subscription or you have to be in the branch. You can save to your documents to your computer or you can email them. You have a lot of locations you can look through. You can search multiple types of records, birth, census, immigration, all at once. There are a lot more types of records you can search, and you can find images, index, transcriptions, and citations of records. With HeritageQuest, it's a little smaller, it's more condensed. Think of it as Ancestry Lite for at home. So you can access it at home with your GCPL card. You can still save things to your computer or email them. There are fewer locations, meaning you may not have as many international resources to look at. And you may not have access to everything in England or everything in Mexico or Canada. The big difference is how you search. You can only search one record type at a time with HeritageQuest, meaning you can only search your census records or you can only search military records at a time. You can't search everything and hope to find all different kinds of records for a person. There are limited record types that you can find, but you can still find images, indexes, and transcripts. So to start with, this is our homepage. This was obviously done, I made the slideshow in October, but if you go to our homepage up here at the top, it says online resources. This is just greenlibrary.info. And I'm going to be switching back and forth between the slideshow and the actual web page, so bear with me. So you'd log into our webpage, greenlibrary.info, and online resources. And then right here, right at the top, history and genealogy, you just click on that. And then about halfway down, you will see HeritageQuest. There's also Heritage Hub. This is newspapers and obituaries and death notices. Great database, but not what we're doing today. We're going to do HeritageQuest. So you click on that. And you guys will probably, well, that's interesting. Be prompted to log in with your library card. This is the page that should come up, but not those errors. Try hitting home or search again and see what comes up. If you get that, hopefully it's just a glitch on my end. User error. So there's a couple big sections to start with. You'll see up here we have search, research aids, and maps. We're going to go through each one of those. But what everybody wants to do as soon as they get on here is go to this family search simplified with their story scout and type it in to see what they get about their grandparents. So we're going to pick one of my relatives, one of my whatever great grandparents, and we're going to do find my story. And what it'll do is it'll pull up all these different people. So you read through them and see which one is your Joseph Decker. So this one is mine. So we click, this is my grandparent, and then it'll bring you up a little story about them. And where they fit in the history of the United States and the world. So if there were cool things going on, the Industrial Revolution, that type of thing will show up. Just to give you kind of a little idea what the average wages were. It's kind of interesting. Doesn't really give you a whole lot of records, which is probably what most of us are looking for, but it does put them in context of history. So I'm just going to hit go back. So that's just your story. I prefer to search with the search feature. So up here under search, if you click on that, you can do the search down here, but this shows you exactly what is available through HeritageQuest and what kind of records you're most likely to find. So as you can see here, we have census records, we have books, probate, and immigration, military records, city directories, public records, serials, Freedmen banks, the Social Security Death Index, searching cemeteries, photos and maps, and other locations. We're going to get into all of these so you kind of have an idea of what they are and how they work. So like I said, I'm going to be flipping back and forth between things. So as far as the census goes, these are all the censuses that I have been able to find on HeritageQuest. There may be more because everyone's always adding stuff. So don't be surprised if you find more. But these are the basic ones that are there. You have all of your federal censuses, you have slave schedules. There is actually part of the 1890. This is the fragmented one that burned. So if you were one of the lucky people that had your census not burned, more power to you. Veterans schedules, delinquent schedules, enumeration maps, censuses for mortality, the non-population schedules. This was like your agriculture and your manufacturing censuses. So you can see how big a farm was, how big a company was, that type of thing. And the census on the death, family, marriage, and hearing relatives. And it gives you the years that they are available. Okay, under the books section, these were published family or local histories. Not all of them are there, but there's quite a few. Wills and probates, city directories. There are a few that are just certain years, certain of these categories. So you have to be sure to look and see if the years you're looking for are covered. Like if I was looking for my parents, where they lived in the city directories, they moved in the 90s, they wouldn't be in here, but their previous address maybe. Military records, these are very limited, and they're mostly older. Think Revolutionary War and Civil War. Newer conflicts aren't there because of confidentiality and identity theft and all that kind of stuff, because some of those people are still alive, so they tend to limit stuff to further back. And especially with the HeritageQuest is more of the older records, but they are really cool and you can find them because you can actually see handwritten Revolutionary War records. There are some for the US and some international. Immigration records are limited for specific areas. So if they immigrated to a small place, there may not be records as opposed to like a larger Ellis Island type situation. And the public records are only for about 40 years. And those came from, as you can see, they were collected from different locations and public information. Social Security Death Index only goes back to 35 and only goes up to 2014. But it does give you some good information. Revolutionary War pensions, this is what I was talking about. Some of those are really cool because they're scans of the original documents. Serials we'll get into for a little bit later. Same thing with the Freedmen Bank. And the cemetery records actually leak you from 35 to 2014 to find a grave. And if you ever played around on that website, there's a lot of cool stuff there too. So the photos and maps section, which again, I'm going to show you these all again and not just read to you. The guide to US federal censuses. This is helpful when you're researching because it actually shows you the picture of the state, and in white, it has lined out the actual counties where they are now. And if you click through the other dates, it'll actually show you where the county lines used to be. So you may be researching, your family hadn't moved, but you're finding records in 3 different counties. Well, that's because the county moved around them. They didn't necessarily move. Enumeration maps, photo collections, and land ownership maps. These are cool. They actually have like the lines of where the property lines are, how many acres it was, and who owned them. And then here's the city directories and the information you can find with that. It's a simple search. You click on city directories, type in their names, location, as much information as you can, and you go. The US serials, With this, it'll give you, you type in their names. The next screen that'll pop up will be a list of hits with where the name had been mentioned. You click on those and it'll give you the title, the serial set, the document, and it'll show you how you can actually, you click down here, it'll actually give you a list of an actual picture of what you're looking at. Freedman Bank records, again, you can choose if you were looking for deposit, dividend payment records, you know, who got signatures, who was registered there, who wasn't. You can do that, or you can do a general search with just the names and locations. So again, that looks very similar to Ancestry. The next big section is research aids. There's a getting started section, a census section, and beyond the basics. Getting started again is basic information. They do have a cool link to the census forms where the questions are actually written out so you can read them. So you can see what all those check marks and numbers and little occupations and who can read and who can't, what those questions are. The census records, they have the historical US, which are the federal, statewide, countywide, and non-population schedules. These are really cool, especially for like the 1890s when the federal census was destroyed. A lot of states still had a census from either the off years or maybe even that year. So 1885 to 1895, they may have. Same thing with county censuses and along with the non-population censuses. And the On the Basics gives you guides for further research. Now the maps. This is the one I was telling you about that I think is really cool. So this is the map of Ohio, and I'll show you how to get to it. And it shows you the current counties here in white. Like here we are in Greene County. But as you can see, in 1790, we were part of Hamilton County and part of the Virginia Military Reserve. And as you click through these different ones, you can see how these counties moved and changed. And you can see why some of your Greene County records, your families lived here forever, but they're in Hamilton County. Researchers in other locations, these are the main places that you can find some records for. There's not a lot. Like if you click on African records, there's only a few, not a lot, but at least it is something that you can try to look at if your family is from any of these places. All right, and that brings us to the end of the slideshow. So let's go back and do some playing. So the maps. So when I clicked on maps up here at the top, and we'll pick Ohio. And as you can see, this is the 1790 map that I showed you earlier. There's Greene County, and we're in Hamilton and Virginia. But if we jump ahead a couple of years, 1800, you can now see that part of Greene County is in Ross and part of it is in Hamilton. So if your family lived here, it's another place, 2 more counties to check records for. And then by 1820, we're pretty much where we are now. But you can see how these boundaries changed throughout the years and can make your research a little more difficult to find out if you're not looking in the right county, because some of the records could have stayed. So these 1790 records could have stayed with the Hamilton County recorders, or they could have stayed with the Greene County in the actual location that they were. So you'd have to check both places to see where the records could have been. So I found this very helpful when I'm researching further back and counties weren't where they are now. So I think that, I know it was super fast and it was a lot of information thrown at you. But play around with it, search in it, you know, start with something easy and then go through, look for your people, and you'll be surprised what you can find. It doesn't look like there's a ton of information here, but there actually is a lot of good information if you just take the time and look through it and search each one of these for either your person or the place. I think you'll find some really good information. So hopefully that helps you guys out and gives you a basic understanding of HeritageQuest. If you have any questions, please look at the tutorials again, go through your notes, shoot an email, whatever you need to do, or Google it. That's a good way to learn how to use a lot of these databases. But play around, practice. I'm sure you guys will enjoy it, and I hope to see you next time.